All right, PragerU. Why has the West been so successful? I don't know. I've heard some theories. Is it because only white people have the skull shapes necessary to produce a functioning civilization? I know the fucking memes. I know the what's the dog whistle term? Different cultures have different proclivities towards creating different types of civilizations, aka black people like dirt huts and white people like glorious Roman Colosseums or some shit. Let's take a look at the comments. This is the slowest I've ever heard Ben speak. Oh, cool. Great. Okay, so fucking a bunch of shit about Ben Shapiro not talking fast enough. What? Short answer, it wasn't started by morons like Ocasio-Cortez. Is that really the short answer? Why has Western civilization been successful? The historians look, they get out their pen nib, they take a look at the parchment. 'Cause AOC didn't do it. Lol. Very juvenile. It's like leftists talking, leftists having the conversation, like, hey, so why do you think, Western civilization has turned out the way it did? Stefan Molyneux didn't do it. Lol. All right, let's get started.
Western civilization. It's been around for a while, but suddenly everybody is talking about it.
Okay. Wow, man, he's ready for this one. Look at him. He's got the fucking the Prozac half-lidded eyes. He's got the fresh haircut. He's ready for this one. What a ghoulish mouth shape, by the way. Does anyone else think that there's something deeply wrong with how his mouth looks here? Like he's dead, maybe? And there's somebody puppeteering him, like what is it? Weekend at Bernie's? What was come on, you know the movie? They puppet the corpse. You know what I'm talking about, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. Was that Weekend at Bernie's? Yeah, this looks about right. Yeah, I would say there's insufficient mouthfeel here. All right. Maybe we should speed this up a little bit. I kind of like Ben Shapiro talking fast. Come on, Ben.
Some are anxious to save it. Others are happy to see it go. But what if...
Okay, actually, if he's going to rattle off dumb shit that quickly, we're going to keep it normal. Let's go over that again.
Some are anxious to save it.
Some are anxious to save Western civilization. That's pretty dog-whistly right off the bat.
Others are happy to see it go.
Who is happy to see Western civilization gone? Is that you guys? You in chat? Do you want Western civilization to come to an end? Is that you? Guys, come on, cut it out. I live in Western civilization. For real, though, let's talk. What is Western civilization? Like, can we get a definition here? They're probably going to give their own half-ass definition in this video. Are we talking about, like, the age of reason, like post-Enlightenment, post-Renaissance, when the scientific method became, like, sort of this universally hailed concept in our side of the civilizational world? Is that what he's like? Is that Western civil? Or do we go back like to Magna Carta? Or do we go back even further? Do we count Roman and Greek civilization in with Western civilization? Because that's really fucking weird. Like, Romans and Greeks didn't look or act like us. They would have been considered quite swarthy. Romans, like, there were black Romans. If we're going to use Western civilization as sort of like a proxy for white civilization, then you can't go back that far. You kind of have to start. Like, the point that I'm getting at here is there's not really, like, a thing called Western civilization. Usually when people refer to Western civilization, and I'm being very charitable here, they're referring to countries like Central and sometimes Central and Western Europe, America, Australia, Canada, obviously. Countries that have their heritage usually stemming from, like, Germany or Britain or or France, and in some cases Spain, depending on your definition of things. And it usually stems from like this concept of liberalism that spread around the Enlightenment, democracy, and free trade, and the scientific method. So there's a lot of ambiguity here when people talk about Western civilization. When I hear Western civilization brought up, it's usually by people who think it means white people. Okay? Now, I'm going to be charitable. I'm going to be charitable to Benjamin over here, Lil Ben. And I'm going to go ahead and enter this video with the assumption that he is not intentionally referring to Western civilization as a proxy for white people. But if he does something to dispel that charitable assumption I have made, well, then we'll have to go.
But what exactly is Western civilization?
Tell me what you think
it is. Is it the great cathedrals of Europe or the Nazi concentration camps?
Okay, that's a pretty broad whiplash. Okay, all right, let's find out.
Is it the freedoms secured in the U.S. Constitution or chattel slavery? Life-saving medicines or poison gas? The left likes to focus on the bad.
Already, the dishonesty begins. This is a very false dichotomy. The left does when if you ask like a leftist, like a leftist academic, like, hey, what do you think of Western civilization? They're not going to say, yes, Western civilization, the birth of slavery, the birth of poison gas and nuclear armaments. Yes, Western civilization. I can't wait to see it fall. They'd probably look at you and say, what the fuck do you mean by Western civilization? What the fuck does that even mean? When I think of, like, Western civilization, not even in the dog whistly sense, I don't think of, like, genocide and slavery. Genocide and slavery existed long before and in places other than the West. I usually think of, like, post-Enlightenment Europe and America. Generally, that's usually what I think about. Let's listen to Ben.
Genocide, slavery, environmental destruction. But those have been present in every civilization from time immemorial.
Okay, so leftists, when they think of the West, think of these things, which I just said are present in society. See, look, I preempted the justification that Benjamin just used to dismiss his accusation as to what leftists think of Western civilization. I'm so smart. My brain is so big. Incredible. Leftists don't. This isn't how leftists like think of Western. Like, nobody thinks like this.
The positives are unique to the West.
What?
Religious tolerance.
What?
Abolition of...
Oh, man. Religious tolerance is not unique to the West. Anyone who thinks that religious tolerance is unique to the West should, for one, educate themselves on European history. Religious tolerance wasn't a big thing with them. And for two, should educate themselves on Middle Eastern history, because for massive swaths of time, the Middle East was one of the most religiously tolerant places on the planet. It is... What? Like, the golden age of Islam hailed one of the most, at least in regards to religious tolerance, progressive parts of the world like ever seen throughout history. Europe's history, the 100 Years' War, was a war between Catholics and Protestants. Do you know what we did to the Jews in Europe? Do you know what we did? We did the fucking Crusades! The fuck do you mean religious tolerance is unique to the West? Jesus Christ. And as for the abolition of slavery, like, America was one of the last developed countries to abolish slavery. Anyone who unironically believes that the abolition of slavery is unique to the West, this is a hysterical misunderstanding of history that could only be born. Oh, it was the 30 Years' War between France and England. Okay, well, the left gets cucked. Left wing destroyed. What are you gonna do? The abolition of slavery being unique to the West is a level of misunderstanding so abhorrent that it could only be the product of deliberate stupidity or dishonesty. But we're not done. Let's do more.
Slavery, universal human rights.
What do you mean by universal human rights? We're like eroding abortion rights right now in America. This is happening. What does that mean, universal human rights? There were pacts, treatises on human rights that for their time were extraordinarily progressive, that again came about in the golden age of Islam, that have been in the Indian and like Pakistani regions, ye back hundreds of years ago, even in ancient empires. Universal human rights, or at least a proto form of them, obviously intersectionality has come a long way since then, were developed. To say that the West has a monopoly on universal human rights is fucking laughable, especially when the audience for this video is probably substantially comprised of people who unironically want to kick brown and black people out of the country. So I love it. I love how actual white nationalists want to feel proud of their society's heritage by championing a value that they abhorrently disagree with. Universal human rights.
The development of the scientific method.
The scientific method was not developed by Europeans. Wasn't it developed in, hold on. Because my history is a little bit... We should go history. The question of who invented the scientific method ships to Europe as the Renaissance began. The wisdom of the Greeks and the Arabs helped Europe out of the Dark Ages. Robert Bacon, from 12 to 1284. History of the scientific method. Early methodology from Aristotle and Epicurus. Emergence of inductive experimental method. Okay? So, Jabir ibn Hayyan. Remember, Benjamin over here said the development of the scientific method, not the current formation of the scientific method. The modern formation of the scientific method is largely a product of the Enlightenment, but that is by no means the development of the scientific method. Arab physicist Ibn al-Haytham used experimentation to obtain the results in his Book of Optics from 1021. He combined observations, experiments, and rational arguments to support his intermission theory of vision, in which rays of light are emitted from objects rather than from the eyes. Fascinating. That is how it works. Rays of light are emitted from objects. Light travels from the origin of light and bounces off the object into the rays of our eyes. That's how we see color. What a cool dude with his Book of Optics. Probably a lot smarter than me. So what was that about the development of the scientific method having come from Western civilization? Man, the golden age of Islam sure did produce a lot of cool shit, huh? None of these things, skepticism, empiricism, modernity, none of these things originate in the Western world or from the Enlightenment. The Enlightenment codified many of these things, broadened their scope, refined them. Some might even say perfected them. I'm not downplaying the Enlightenment. That was some pretty cool shit. But to suggest that the Western civilization was responsible for developing the scientific method is, well, it's just not correct, Benjamin. What's more, this is a pretty weak fucking description of what, like, makes up the West. So what defines the West? Oh, we developed the scientific method? The development which took place in the 18th century and has since been adopted by, like, every society on Earth? Like, that's it? You might as well put, like, invented the car in here.
These are accomplishments of a scope and scale.
Okay, so again, every single point here is a lie. Every single thing that's listed here is a fucking lie. There are, again, cool things to Western civilization that you can talk about, but these are lies.
That only the West can claim.
Only the West!
These aren't the only achievements that make the West special
Tell me
and
more.
uniquely successful.
Tell me more.
As Western thought evolved, it secured the rights of women and minorities.
In spite of people like you. Again, I love it when reactionaries try and fucking jerk themselves raw, taking credit for accomplishments that were made in spite of people like them. Stefan fucking Molyneux, hugely popular internet philosopher and resident crazy person, unironically like, women having the vote, was that really a good step forward? After all, women will always vote for comfort. That's why the rise of the welfare state coincided with women's suffrage. Unironically, people on your side of the table advocate for the removal of these things. Like, this is in spite of you.
Successful. As Western thought evolved, it secured the rights of women and minorities.
And securing rights for minorities is fucking hysterical, because I have talked to so many fucking Benjamin Shapiro fans who are on the concept of protected classes and everything else that we've done to mitigate the exploitation of minorities in this country.
Lifted billions of people out of poverty and...
Yeah, if you define... Wait, what do you mean lifted billions? What? The fuck do you mean lifted billions of people out of poverty? What the fuck does that mean? Citation? Do you mean like the West went into like India and like, here you go, $10. And then they got $10 and then they were lifted out of poverty? That like poor beggar? What the fuck does this mean? Do you mean a capitalist institution set an arbitrary poverty line and they keep like lowering the poverty line relative to the cost of living in developing nations, so it seems as though more people are escaping poverty, but in reality they're just changing their standards? What the fuck does this mean?
Invented most of the modern world. Progress hasn't been a straight line, of course. Poverty and invented most of the modern world.
The fuck does that mean? Invented most of the modern world. I mean, most scientific progress has come out of the West, but that's more a product of the wealth that we have comparative to other nations. And as China and India have developed into their own over the past half century, they have contributed an increasingly proportional amount of scientific and technological development to the world. China and India have been on their shit lately, and they're nowhere near finished developing. So you're not, again, this isn't really a unique product of Western civilization, as it is what happens when your empire has the most dollars. This is the same shit happened with the Roman Empire back in the day. The same shit happened with the fucking Ottoman Empire. The same shit happened during the Golden Age of Islam. The same shit happened during Mansa Musa's reign, back with Egypt, back in fucking Greece. All of these fucking civilizations, as long as you're top dog during your respective time period, you're probably going to be where all the cool shit is coming out of. That's by no means a unique characteristic of Western civilization. Fuck, we're only a minute in.
Progress hasn't been a straight line, of course, but the arc of history is clear. The obvious proof is that the world is overwhelmingly Western.
What? What? India and China alone have more people combined than everyone in the West. What? What the fuck does this mean? I don't even know how to respond to this because I don't know what this means. Okay.
And, with few exceptions, those parts of the world that aren't aspire to be.
Again, what does this mean? If you define Western as modern, like post-industrial revolution, then yeah, no shit, everything is Western. What if I define like communist? What hey guys? The world is growing increasingly communist if you define communism as having red in your country. If you have red anywhere on your billboards, anywhere in your fucking public decals, anywhere in the fashion sense, the sensibilities of your nation, anything, if there's any red anywhere, the world is growing increasingly communist. And those places that aren't are probably really poor because they can't afford red pigment and paint. Again, what the fuck does this mean?
Why? Why has Western civilization been so successful?
Okay. I mean, that's a valid question. Sure. Tell me, Ben, why has Western civilization been so successful?
There are many reasons, but the best place to start is with the teachings and philosophies that emerged from two ancient cities, Jerusalem and Athens.
Okay. Okay, let's see where he's going with this one.
Jerusalem represents religious revelation as manifested in the Judeo-Christian tradition, the beliefs that a good God created an ordered universe and that this God demands moral behavior from his paramount creation, man.
This is weird. I didn't know we were taking a religious stance on this one. Is Jerusalem part of the West? Are we lumping in them with that? Are we going there? I don't think Jerusalem's part of the West, my dude.
The other city, Athens, represents reason and logic as expressed by the great Greek thinkers, Plato and Aristotle, and many others. These two ways of thinking, revelation and reason, live in constant tension. Judeo-Christian
This is like the most hackneyed. What duality is being represented? What? Western civilization is the I don't understand what's being said. I feel like there are a million directions this could go. Is he saying that Western civilization is the byproduct of the tension between a moralistic obligation to perform well and the like logic reason shit of the Greek? Is he saying like that duality, that agitation is what created the circumstances which led to the West's success? Or is he saying that like I don't know. Ranch Panda, thank you very much for the subscription, my friend. That's awfully kind of you, and I appreciate the support. Welcome to the Vosh Pit. Okay, we gotta go a little bit farther because I'm really confused right now.
religion.
He's got me, Benjamin. He's got me in the chokehold of logic and reason. I can't break free. I gotta wait a little bit longer. I gotta see where he's going with this.
Posits that there are certain fundamental truths handed down to us by a transcendent being. We didn't.
What?
That there are certain live in constant tension. Judeo-Christian religion posits that there are certain fundamental truths handed down to us by a transcendent being. We didn't invent these truths. We received them from God.
Okay.
The rules he lays down for us are vital for building a functioning, moral civilization and for leading a happy life.
Oh man, this took a stupider turn than I was expecting. We're unironically going to say that the success of Western civilization resides on the Judeo-Christian values upon which it was founded? Okay, friend. Then why is it that the Enlightenment, the time period during which all of the accomplishments that you touted to be a part of Western civilization, the Industrial Revolution, the scientific method, the formation of universal human rights, and the abolition of slavery, all of these things were a product of the Enlightenment when secularism and a rejection of religion were the driving principles of these movements. Why are you saying that Judeo-Christian values are the foundation of a functioning moral civilization when all of the things you just said made the West good are a product of rejection of religious will? What the fuck are you saying to me right now, Ben? You're really stupid. This is a very stupid argument that you're making to me right now, Ben. Not to mention there are plenty of other religions on the planet that also believe that there are foundational moral commandments laid out by a divine creator. Do you not think that Hindus have like a prescriptive moral assignment from their creator? I'm not even going to fucking go into the shit Hindus believe, mostly because I'm not that familiar with it myself, but I am pretty fucking sure that they also have their little holy book. What about Islam? You do know that Muslims worship the same God as you, right? That Yahweh, they just call him Allah because Allah means God. It's the same God. They also have a set of principles given to them in a holy book that a divine creator laid down for them to prescribe moral behavior. I guess maybe that's why the golden age of Islam was so rad, huh? Why they produced so many technological and scientific marvels during their time. Do you think it's because because of the Quran? This is a very stupid argument from every end. Not only are there other religions that have the characteristics he's describing here, but the characteristics he's describing here are antithetical to the things he touted as being representative of the triumphs of Western civilization. Very dumb argument, Ben. I hope it gets better from here.
Greek thinking posits that we only know truth by what we observe.
This person does not look Greek. What the fuck? Who did this art? No, we need to focus on this.
Greek thinking posits...
This just looks like a guy. Fab the Elb, thank you very much for the 200 bits, my friend. Judeo-Christian values are bullshit, the same religion that burned and crucified throughout history, but always used to demonize minorities, but now as the very best values. Yeah, like, I don't know how you could possibly fucking argue that Christianity has throughout history been a paragon of virtue. I mean, which holy books were used to justify the transatlantic slave trade? Which holy book was used to justify the Crusades? It's just so stupid. It's so stupid from every angle. Also, this guy just doesn't look Greek to me. What is, like, the swoop haircut and the sideburns? Okay, I don't know. Just aesthetically, this does not say Greek to me. This does not look like a Grecian man.
It's that we only know truth by what we observe, test, and measure. It is not faith, but fact.
Wait, okay, that's not entirely true. I'm not 100% up on, like ancient philosophy or anything, but I'm pretty sure that there were plenty... wasn't one of the predominant forms, like one of the predominant ideological assumptions of the Greek, like the Platonic ideal, the idea that there's like a conceptual ideal of every physical object in the physical world? Those things were never proved to have existed through observation, testing, and measurement. The scientific method has come a long way since its formation, or like the foundational developments that were made back in Greek times. This isn't like a huge point. It's just sort of indicative of how he just lies all the time. Like, all these videos are just full of lies. At every level, they mislead. And why not? I mean, they've already got the people watching this video to buy into the central lie. Why not sprinkle in some, sort of lighthearted, less important historical misconceptions?
That drives our understanding and exploration of the universe. Western civilization, and only Western civilization, has found a way to balance both religious belief and human reason.
So this is a conclusion that Benjamin here is making, and generally conclusions are supported by assertions you make prior. And I have pretty thoroughly and objectively debunked every assertion made up until this point. Every single thing that he has said has been misleading or factually incorrect. And now we arrive at the conclusion, and since the conclusion is a product of the premises, and all of the premises are bunk, I then can say, and this is a very logical and factual method of debunking, mind you, so I know Benjamin would support me in saying this, that this conclusion is bunk. Western civilization is not the only way to, the only civilization which has balanced religious belief and human reason. Religious belief and human reason do not need to be balanced to find success in a civilization. Every premise and every conclusion involved here is just very dumb.
Here's how the balance works.
Oh, God.
The Judeo-Christian tradition teaches that God created an ordered universe, and that we have an obligation to try to make the world better.
I can't, this is bringing me back to my fucking, 13-year-old edgy atheist days where I'd argue with people on Facebook. I can't do this. This is all very stupid. Again, all of the progress that we've made in Western civilization, particularly towards making the world a better place, has been formed from post-Enlightenment thought, which entails the rejection of religious law. We got better because we eschewed religion. Before then, Europe was a constant fucking hotbed of misery and conflict, of exploitation and suffering. Are you fucking kidding me? Catholics and Protestants and Jews alike just fucking ruining themselves in the places that they lived in. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't all bad. We had some nice moments. But by and large, Europe, Western civilization before the Enlightenment, was just war after war, religious persecution, rampant rape and torture and murder, fucking stop. That place was a fucking war zone for centuries. To suggest that Judeo-Christian values made this place just like just like the epicenter, just a beautiful little epicenter, just full of happy little trees, man. Just a beautiful little epicenter of people being happy and getting along and making the world a better place, is laughably false.
This offers us purpose and suggests that history moves forward.
Fucking modernists.
Most pagan religions taught the opposite, that the universe is illogical and random, and that history is cyclical.
What? Okay, hold on. Hold the fuck on. My religious history isn't 100% on point here, so I can't cite like specific examples, but like chat, like this is wrong, right? What? Pagan religions asserted that the world was irrational and What? And cyclical? Was that a part of pagan religions? Oh yeah, things just happen over and over again. Okay, sure. This is like pre-boomer shit. This is like complaining about paganism being irrational. This is okay. Man, religious people are fucking weird. Also, Christianity was originally considered a pagan religion, right? Like originally Christianity, or like that's why the fucking Roman emperors would toss Christians to be eaten in by lions, because Christians were originally the dirty fucking pagan degens that civilized society wanted nothing to do with. Oh no, it's Andrew95. Thank you so much for subscribing with Twitch Prime, my friend. I love you. Thank you, and welcome to the Vosh Pit. Yeah, Christmas is literally a pagan holiday, but okay.
History just endlessly repeats itself, in which case, why bother to innovate or create anything new?
What? What the fuck are you talking about? The Greeks, the Romans, and the Norse all had religions that are considered pagan today, and they had thriving civilizations in their time. How can you simultaneously say that Judeo-Christian values and their modernist tradition of forward movement, which is not founded in this video, by the way, are responsible for like the development of the West, when the Norse, Roman, and Greek civilizations were all pagan, and you fucking know people who tout Western civilization love to take credits for the accomplishments of all three of these civilizations. These weren't cyclical. The Norse religion literally believed everything would end at Ragnarok, when all the gods would have their great big fucking duke out in the sky and the world would come to an end. This is foundationally similar to believing in the rapture, where civilization, where human history has a definite end. How can something be cyclical if it has an end? This is so stupid. This is so stupid. Okay, unironically saying the Greeks were fucking no. This is dumb from every angle.
Second,
We're only halfway in.
Christian tradition teaches that every human is created in the image of God. That is, each individual's life is infinitely valuable.
Okay. I don't think most people interpret the scripture that way, especially not reactionaries, judging from how they believe that brown and black people are literally fucking subhuman, and that trans people are like degenerates. Okay, sure, okay.
This seems self-evident to us now, but only because we have lived with this belief for so long.
It's not self-evident to anyone. No one believes that a life is infinitely valuable. That's a thought-terminating cliche. What the fuck does that mean, infinitely valuable? So do you believe that all of the resources in the world should be pulled together to save like one child dying from cancer? If a life is infinitely valuable, then it should be argued that all material possessions are subservient to the interests of one person's livelihood, correct? No one actually believes this.
The far more natural belief is that the strong should subjugate the weak.
For one, These two things are not necessarily a dichotomy. Capitalists and people who believe we live in a meritocratic society genuinely believe that some people are meant to rise to the top. People who subscribe to like Nietzsche's kind of like values or like Ayn Randian philosophy tend to believe that society is an arena, and the strongest, the people with the greatest will, the greatest wits, are the ones who should be allowed to rise naturally to the top, to rise to the place where they are deigned to be. Many of these people subscribe to Judeo-Christian values, Nietzsche and Ayn Rand, and many fucking libertarians who tout their philosophy, and anarcho-capitalists. These things aren't naturally, like everything that is being said right now. Everything that is being said right now is so foundationally wrong that I feel like I need to explain the fundamental ideology, like, surrounding the elements which are related to the ways in which he is wrong. We gotta move faster, man.
Which is
Nietzsche isn't comparable to Rand. No, of course they're not comparable. They're extremely different people. However, Nietzsche's idea of the Übermensch, the idea that society's purpose in many respects is to produce people who are greater than us, greater than ourselves, great men who stride atop society and benefit everyone else with their genius, is very similar to Ayn Rand's belief that fucking hyper rich corporatist leaders should be allowed to produce unfettered with from restrictions by the state because their genius benefits everyone. In these respects, the two of them are comparable. Of course, one of them is a real philosopher and one of them is a hack writer, so they're not comparable in many other respects, but in that respect specifically, yes, they are comparable.
Precisely what people did in nearly every society in all of history. Subjugate the weak, which is precisely what people did in nearly every society in all.
Wait, if the argument here is that Judeo-Christian values give infinite value to human life, and this is juxtaposed to the strong subjugating the weak, why would you then show an image of the transatlantic slave trade when Judeo-Christian fucking white folk roped up black folk? What? Wait, what? This contradicts your own argument. Do I even need to say anything here? Do I even need to? He did. Oh, thanks, Ben. That was really easy for me. I was gonna point out how people who believe in the Judeo-Christian God also believe that the strong should subjugate. But okay. Thanks. I appreciate it. That's very kind of you. I sure hope your audience doesn't linger on this for too long. I like, by the way, how the image editor was too lazy to edit the image such that the image actually set in the frame. Look at the corners of the image. These little like nubbins, these triangular heart-shaped nubbins, occlude with the fucking blue frame. Pretty ugly looking.
All of history. Only by recognizing the divine in others did we ever move beyond this amoral thinking toward the concern for human rights, democracy, and free enterprise that characterize the West.
Why did you just... Wait, again, you just showed like a white dude. You just showed the transatlantic slave trade. What? That contradicts your own argument. Also, I contradicted your argument. Everything contradicts your argument, Ben. You're arguing against a mirror, and you're losing.
But Judeo-Christian religion alone didn't build our modern civilization. We also required Greek reason to teach us objective observation, that man has the capacity to search beyond revelation for answers. Greek reason brought us the notion of the natural law.
Notice how he has to summarize this with Greek reason, because he knows for fucking sure that his audience is neither willing to nor able to process the many different Greek philosophers who had their own ideas as to what constituted natural law, philosophy, and the philosophy of science back in those days.
The idea that we could discover the natural purpose, the telos, of everything in creation by looking to its character. Human beings were created with the unique capacity to reason. Therefore, our telos was to reason. By investing reason with so much power, Greek thought became integral to the Western mission.
No historian, by the way, would consider Greeks to be a part of like Western civilization. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, the West would consider Greeks to be swarthy, dirty, swarthy, dirty brown people back in the time. At least from the historical recreations that I've seen of how the fucking Greeks looked back in ancient Greece, I'm pretty fucking sure, I'm pretty confident that people who are fans of Ben Shapiro would not be comfortable lumping them in with their glorious white Western civilization. Our telos is to reason. Yeah, and also, this is pretty fucking contradictory because the Greeks were pagans. Didn't pagans believe the world is illogical and irrational and cyclical? Why then did they develop the modernist tradition of believing that the world can be codified and brought in line with reason? Could it be that pagans were not inherently illogical or irrational? Could it be that the foundational premises of this video are completely contradictory? The world may never know.
Nowhere is this more perfectly expressed than in the American Revolution, in which the founding fathers took the best of the European Enlightenment, with its roots in Greek thought, and the best of Judeo-Christian practice, with its roots in the Bible.
Except they specifically wrote on creating a state which gives character nor discernment to no religion. Fucking Benjamin Franklin rewrote the Bible to leave out its spiritual elements. The American this is the fucking propaganda. This is where they slip it in that America is a Christian nation. Well, then it sure does suck for you, Ben, that they specifically wrote the Constitution to not give credence to any form of religious thought. Oh, that was Thomas Jefferson, not Benjamin Franklin. Ooh, left wing destroyed. I'm pretty heated right now. This is some dumbass shit. Thomas Jefferson, also pretty foundational to the American Revolution and the thoughts which precluded it. Oh, it sure does suck that these paragons of Judeo-Christian thought didn't think to put in any explicit advocacy for Judeo-Christian values in their Constitution or Declaration of Independence. Oh, those slippery dudes. Those founding fathers. They forgot it again. Those dorks. Forgetting to put in one of the two foundational building blocks of Western civilization into the Constitution of what would then become the nation that most foundationally represents modern Western civilization. Those dweebs. Those geezers. There we go. Oh, looking pretty good. Let me. Judeo. Oh, nope. Christian. Oh, nope. Maybe Yahweh? That's probably not how you spell Yahweh, but I know it's not in there. The laws of nature and nature's God. That all men are created equal, that they endowed by their creator, not by the Christian God, not by the Judeo-Christian God, not by Yahweh, but by their creator. Oof! Yikes! Big shame. Too bad.
And melded them into a whole new political philosophy. Without Judeo-Christian
Wait, what whole new political philosophy was founded with the American Revolution? Wait, what?
And melded them into a whole new political philosophy.
What? What whole new political philosophy what? Is the United States of America a political philosophy? I didn't read about that one. I didn't read about that one in my fucking poli-sci 300 class. I'll maybe I forgot. Yeah, whiteism. I did not see your 45 cheer, Fab the Alp. I'll have to look in a bit. Oh man.
Without Judeo-Christian values, we fall into scientific materialism, the belief that physical matter is the only reality, and therefore also fall into nihilism.
Oh man, I love... What?
Wow.
Can go fucking put earbuds in.
I do have earphones in.
Go wrap your head in paper mache.
Quieter.
I love it. I love it when these tin pot fucking demagogues try and introduce Babby's first, like nationalist philosophy. I love it. I love this reactionary shit. Look at this. Scientific. Whoa, let's do it again because it's so dumb. We have to do it again.
Without Judeo-Christian values, we fall into scientific materialism, the belief that physical matter is the only reality, and
I would love to see you disprove scientific materialism, Benjamin. I would love to hear your I would love to hear your take, your philosophical takedown of scientific materialism. I would be delighted to hear your take on this.
and therefore also fall into nihilism, the belief that life has no meaning, that we're merely stellar dust in a cold universe.
Can you unironically, can you imagine it being 2019 and making a propaganda video where you complain about how Western civilization will fall apart if we recognize the fact that life has no objective meaning? Whew, Jordan Peterson, is that you? There sure is a lot of fucking interplay between these reactionaries, huh? Jesus Christ. Guys, did you know? Without believing that you're going to heaven after you die, and that everything that you do in life is done to serve the interests and to please the almighty fucking beard bro in the sky, without that, all of this crumbles. All of it. Every part of it. Everything that we have right here, right now, all of it falls to dust.
Without Greek reason, we fall into fanaticism, the belief that fundamentalist adherence to unprovable principles.
What unprovable principles are you referring to there, Ben? Benjamin, are there any unprovable principles in particular that fundamental adherence to might be a problem?
Represents the only path toward meaning. The Soviet Union,
Wait. So is Benjamin saying that the Soviet Union and Communist China had Judeo-Christian values but no reason? What? This doesn't even make sense from the perspective of a reactionary. I thought the Soviet Union and Communist China were bad because they were atheistic and drove God out of society. No, look, listen.
Greek reason.
See, with no Greek reason, so we still have the Judeo-Christian values. That was the blue column. Right now we have no Greek reason, but we do have the Judeo-Christian values.
We fall into fanaticism, only path toward meaning. The Soviet Union, Communist China.
That's what we get? This is what we get? Judeo-Christian values, but without Greek reason, led the Soviet Union and Communist China? Again, this doesn't even make sense from a reactionary perspective. I thought these countries were bad. You'd think it would be the other way around, that the cold pursuit of social gain to the detriment of humanity and God led to the godless Soviet Union. I've heard this so many times. This is incredible. This is self-defeating on so many levels. I'll be sure to bring this up when I argue with reactionaries in the future. I'll be like, hey, have you seen the most recent PragerU video? How do you feel about the fact that Benjamin Shapiro said that the Soviet Union and Communist China were products of Judeo-Christian values, but no Greek reason? How did... Oh, man. This honestly feels like a word scramble to me. Like ad-libs, you know? They just sort of just fit in.
And other socialist tyrannies rejected faith.
Wait.
And murdered 100 million people in the...
Wait, they rejected faith? I thought we were talking about things without...
Principles represents the only path toward meaning. The Soviet Union, Communist China, and other socialist tyrannies rejected faith and murdered 100 million people in the 20th century.
Wait, they rejected...
Much of the modern Muslim world has embraced faith, but rejected reason.
Oh, no, damn it. Oh, I'm so deflated right now. I didn't watch far enough ahead, because syntactically, that was confusing. Okay, so he's saying... I should watch further ahead. So he's saying the Soviet Union and Communist China were godless, but they had reason, and they murdered 100 gajillion people. And again, I would love to spend time explaining to all of you how not only are these numbers heavily inflated, but they aren't even really related to socialism, but we can take a look at the world under, like, capitalism and find that capitalism directly leads to the death of substantially more people than socialism has ever killed. If through scope, then no other reason. I mean, more countries are capitalist than have ever been socialist. But it's fun. I like the meme, though. The 100 million people meme.
Century. Much of the modern Muslim world has embraced faith, but rejected reason.
In what way have they rejected reason? He does know that countries like Iran and Saudi Arabia are like fully functioning modern post-industrialist societies, right? In what way have they rejected reason?
It's noteworthy that when the Muslim world did embrace Greek reason from the 8th to the 14th centuries,
the golden age of Islam,
it was a leading center for scientific advancement. So again...
Wait, that's it? Wait, that's all he's going to say? He's going to bring up something contradictory to his argument and then just leave it? In what way were Muslims reasonable back then but not now? What changed?
We need both Jerusalem and Athens, revelation and reason. And yet many want to reject both. These people call themselves progressives.
Not even like leftists or socialists or just progressives. Progressive, like, just Google progressive. Like, I hate to... Oh, not era. I hate to appeal to definition here, but... Bunch of fucking companies. A person advocating or implementing social reform or new liberal ideas. Progressivism literally defined the Western world post-Enlightenment. The slow eradication of oppression, to an extent, obviously. The building up of human rights, all of these were acts of progressivism. In what way, Benjamin, in what way do progressives reject both Judeo-Christian values and reason? We're nearly at the end of the video, so I don't think you're going to have time to substantiate that very stupid point you just made.
Ironically, they want to take us backwards to a time when man was governed neither by reason nor faith, but by feeling.
Okay.
And therefore back to a time of moral chaos and disorder, of feeling over fact. It would be a fatal mistake to...
This whole video was just a vehicle for him to say facts don't care about your feelings. God damn. He got me. This whole video, I just wasted like 50 minutes of my life. And all of this was just a package for him to slide the facts don't care about your feelings meme at me right at the end. After packing a video, like just packing a video full of non-factual shit over his feelings. This whole video was Little Ben's feelings. He feels about these things really strongly, and he's not going to let history get in the way of his fucking script. And then all right.
To follow the progressives. Stick with Athens and Jerusalem. I'm Ben Shapiro, editor of the Daily Wire and author of The Right Side of History for Prager University. Thank you.
So as an addendum, and this and this should go without saying, but progressives, socialists, liberals, all of these things, all of these people are following in with the Western Enlightenment tradition. These are foundationally Western values, and all of them also stem from the foundational Enlightenment principles of reason, of the scientific method. So to suggest that they're oh man, it's dumb in so many ways to be like, hey, Western civilization is great because we made steps towards advancing human rights in spite of people like me, but also people who want to advance human rights are just care about feelings over fact. It's very dumb. It's very stupid. And I had a great time watching it. So that was cool. Thank you, Ben.